Welcome to another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast. Today, Coach Bartley returns as a special guest co-host. He'll start making some more frequent flyer appearances as we continue. And then in terms of our guest today, we have Coach Max Stevenson from St. Xavier University. Coach, how you doing?
Doing well, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're going to talk a little bit of power today. But first, before we get into it, Coach, you want to kind of give some people just kind of your background so they kind of know how you ended up at St. X?
For sure. So I actually played at St. X, and when I say play, I mean rode the bench and watched the games every week. So that was nice. It was real nice for me to get a sense of how to coach because I wasn't in the game. And then once I graduated, I'm a high school teacher. So I coached 2 years at the high school I was at. First year was freshman. I was student teaching. No pay, freshman football, teaching kids how to put on their helmet. Then went up to varsity the next year, coach offensive line. And from there, I moved high schools and became the offensive coordinator for my old high school for varsity offensive coordinator. Got a call from an old friend that coached me. So I was there for 2 years, and now for the past 2 years, I've been at St. X. We had a head coaching change at where I was, the high school I was at, and we didn't really see eye to eye too well. And so once I left there, luckily enough, I got a call from the head coach at St. X, and he was like, "Hey, we got a spot open," and I jumped on it right away. So I landed there.
Okay. So let's just dive head deep into it because I like to just get to the point. Power. Let's just start. From my knowledge, you guys are more of a gun power team, correct? Like 12, was 11 or 11 personnel, right?
Yeah, we not even alone. We don't play with a tight end.
Okay.
So we now that's not. So this year we're doing things a bit different, right? Because we have probably the best running back in the NAIA. So we now have that little what do you call it? A sniffer back, an H back, whatever. You put it right at the tackle.
Let's go with H back because I hate the term sniffer. It just
okay. So we got an H back now that we'll play with, or we're going. We'll sit back there with two running backs and the rest wide receivers. So we don't. Since I've been there since 2008, we've never played with a tight end, which kind of makes like our power game a little bit different than most. Because when I played, we would throw the ball 60, 70 times a game and didn't run. We had, I would say, 2.5 to 3 yard splits. I mean, they were big. They were huge. We called them huge top splits. And we would just get massively wide. Because what's better than big boobs is huge boobs. So let's get some huge top splits. Then we kind of progressed as teams were catching on. This was like when spread was like first like the new thing, right? Mike Leach came out with all his stuff, Dana Holgerson with all his stuff, and so teams were adapting. It got popular. Teams were adapting, so we moved to zone. We were a zone run team with we would still go 4 wide, 5 wide sometimes. Bring motion to back, give them the ball, run outside zone, inside zone, and then lately, past 3 or 4 years, we've gone a lot of power. So with our personnel, our linemen are doing a lot of the work. Right, we're our best power play is our counter tray. Right, we're bringing our guard and tackle, and we're moving. And the good thing about the NAIA is you're never going to get anybody that's too overpowering on the defense side of the ball. So we have quick, fast, and strong linemen. I would put our line up against just about any in our league. And these guys move and they hit. They're 2 inches away from going to Division I, and so they're strong kids. But yeah, so we run a lot of counter tray. We'll run your guard pulls. But a lot of our power is based off of your RPO game, your power read. We do a lot of power read with a pass option on one side, and you're reading the end that you're powering away from. He crashes or he goes. Whatever. We have a lot of different variations that we put into our power game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll be able to show you a little later, but it's different.
Okay. Now, what are your, like, from a line perspective? What is your, like, base rules for that? Like, if we just talked about base power before we start expanding into the power reads, the RPO stuff,
Sure.
where we got to lock people in. Like, what does our base look like?
So basically, you're washing down.
Okay.
So say we're going power right. Your center, guard, tackle are washing down. You're getting up to the whatever defense we're playing, right? So if we're playing a 3-3 stack, which we see a lot, or a 4-2-5, your tackle and your guard are coming together down to the backer.
Okay.
Your guard's pulling around, or your tackle, both are pulling around for that end, and that your stack, we call it your stack on your 3-3 side there, pulling around for them. But yeah, it's a lot of wash down and bring around.
Okay.
Coach, first of all, I think the NAIA is underrated. Kids, I think it glossed over. My oldest son is an NAIA kid right now in Georgetown.
Okay.
So
where's he play?
He plays at Georgetown.
Oh, very nice. Cool.
And Andy's a lineman, so this
Awesome.
is all all about it. So when you're teaching the techniques, and there's two in particular I'm really wanting to find out a little bit more about. That front side double team.
Yep.
How do you coach that up? Like, is the guard more of a post man and the tackle's the drive, or is it more like the zone combo where they're together, 4 hands, 4 eyes, and 2 on here, 2 on here, that kind of thing?
So we I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said so. How do you deal with
Yeah.
that? Part?
So my kids are absolutely sick of the word Iowa. All right. So we get our drills from Iowa. We everything that Forensics taught their guys, we took that and we brought it right to us. So we don't use any sort of pads. We don't use anything but ourselves. You get right on the line. Each line 5-yard, 10-yard, 15-yard line. It's a zone. What you would consider a zone double team blocking scheme. So like you said, 4 hands, 4 eyes. And you're getting up and you got to make sure they're communicating, right? So either way that backer goes, me, you, whatever. You let them know whatever. The one team I coached in high school, they loved saying it in Italian. So they would say it in Italian, me, and like whatever they were saying, they would go and they would move, right? So it's for us is a zone double team blocking system up until the next level, wherever you're going. But like I said, we do the same drills every single day. So our first one is our steps, or they would be zone steps. And then the next one we call is the blade drill, where you got 2 guys right next to each other, hip to hip. They fit into their guy. They both push up. They're driving down the line. Their foots don't leave the line. Whatever way that linebacker goes, they got to talk. Me, you. If it's going left, switch over. Then from that blade drill, you go from a stance, right? So you're in a stance. You got your guy maybe a yard off in his stance, backer behind him. Boom, out of your stance. Same thing, fit up, get into him, left, right, whatever. As a coach, I point the backer left or the backer right, and then they go from there.
All right. Now, the other one I got to know is the backside guard. Now, do you run the inside power and outside power, or are you only running the outside, the C-gap power?
We're really more of both. Really, actually, we do both.
Okay.
We do both.
So how do you what's his technique on the pull, and what's his like his aiming point? Like I'm trying to clear the tackle, or I'm trying to clear the guard. Like, what's his aiming point, and how's his technique getting there?
So what we look for is what we used to do, and I hate it, and I taught it for everybody. I absolutely hate it, was the skip pull, right? You're going around, you're skip pulling, and I can't stand it. You're losing power, you're losing speed, everything. We usually go take your eyes, get your hands out a little bit, put them out a little bit, so you're not going to get deked out either way. You're touching jersey, and you're at least blocking one way or another. But get up, get your eyes up, turn. If you're going right, peek right. If you're going left, peek left. Whatever color shows up first, you're more than likely going to get that Mike backer is who you're shooting for. But if somebody misses their block, you got to pick that man up right now.
So is it more of a? I'm trying to think like that. Is it an upfield pull? So like is he taking a drop step and running downhill at it, or
no? It's a get out of your stance and haul ass pull. So as soon as you're opening up and you're gone. If you can take an up angle to get there, take that up angle to get there. Get down the line of scrimmage as fast as you possibly can, and get up.
Okay. What do you? I mean, obviously you do a bunch of stuff with it. How do teams commonly attack your power?
Blitz. Last week they had 7 coming at one time, and we've got 2 new quarterbacks that we were playing. So I mean, what they did was the right thing, right? We had 2 young quarterbacks, and they were coming in as fast as they possibly could, right up, like bats out of hell. But yeah, so we'll see a lot is a 3-3 or the 4-2-5. The 4-2-5 is in now. Every defensive coach loves the 4-2-5, and they want to run it, and they think it's the new cool hot thing, and they love running it. And I don't get me wrong, if you got the dudes to run it, by all means run it, but it's not easy. So when we see something like that, they're all the time. If we get a 4-2-5, they're bringing a backer every single time. They're plugging every hole, and you better be there to stop them. Sometimes they'll take like an outside backer from either way. If they know our tendencies, they'll come one way or another. In one of the clips I got later, I'll show you where we ran power and scored. They were running essentially a 3-3, but they took their 3 linemen and basically crunched them all down, and they had 2 backers playing overhangs at the line of scrimmage. And St. X, not to sound like a jag, but we're usually pretty good. So a lot of teams just throw the kitchen sink at us. They bring anything and everything at us that they can. So we see a lot of different looks. Like this week we played St. Francis Joliet, and whenever we play them, it's like their Super Bowl, because they're like our cross-town rivals, and whatever they can do to try to win, they're going to do it. A lot of trick plays, blitz everybody. Last year they put 11 guys on the line of scrimmage at one time. Like we see a lot of different things, a lot of Harry High School bullshit.
So how do you practice that? How do you practice all these multiple looks?
It's tough, right? Because you run, so they're a base 3-3 team. So what in practice we're doing is running our run game. All right. So we haven't completely abandoned the zone, right? So we're still outside zone, inside zone. But you're getting all different looks in practice of different backers blitzing, whatever we draw up, they're doing. But until you get to the game, you don't really know what they're going to bring, right? Because like I said, last year at one point they put 11 guys on the line of scrimmage. So the most important thing for us right now, this probably is not very helpful at all, and I apologize, but it's as soon as you get to the game, let's talk about it, right? Like last week, the 3 linemen that we thought were going to be lined up on our tackles and a guy on our nose, they were inside. They were almost on almost a 4, like 4 technique, and we hadn't practiced that all week. So now we got to change, right? So now we got to switch things up, and what are we going to do differently and make the in-game adjustments?
Do you get a lot of see, the other one I think we're going to get a lot of bear adjustment. Like we're going to get 303. Yeah,
which we'll see that. But in the past, we've been such a great throwing team, right. Such a good throwing team. They wouldn't do it, right? Because now you're leaving our guys one-on-one on the outside, and best of luck, because you're not going to stop it. Or like if we go to this power run game, we've got our lookies off it. We got our lightning routes. We got whatever we have off of it, where if you're bringing all that noise, we have a route for you, and it's free cheese.
Cool. All right. So let's talk line personnel a little bit.
Okay.
Where, like, if do you flip flop linemen?
No.
Okay. So, but then my next question is, where does your best lineman go? And give me like the people you're looking at. Like, hey, I need this kid to be the tackle. I need this kid to be. So, where's your best lineman? And then like kind of the rest of them. How do you build your offensive line?
We take our smartest guy, we put him at center. All right. So our smartest guy, we're going to put at center as long as he can snap the ball. We're not going to put a guy at center that can't get the ball back, right? But we take our smartest guy, we put him at center because he's got to know. Now he probably has the easiest job out of any lineman, but our smartest guy goes there because he's able to tell everybody where to go and what to do. We take our big fellas. We put them at. We have a redshirt freshman at tackle this year that is just a brick shit house. I mean, he is an absolute monster. I would put him up as one of the strongest kids in the AIA. But he came in as a guard. He came in as a guard from a team that runs double wing, right? So double wing, triple option.
Double wing's overrated.
Let me tell you. Spread them out. Let's get throwing. No. So transitioning, but we knew when we recruited him, this kid's got enough size. He's probably 6'1", 6'2", and I would say he's probably close to 300 pounds of just pure muscle. We knew we wanted him to play tackle. So we gave him the red shirt year. So when we peg our guy, we usually take our strongest guys, we put them outside. Our quicker linemen will go inside. The quicker, I don't want to say not as strong because our left guard is just as strong, but the quicker guys are usually going inside. Our bigger, stronger guys are usually going outside.
Okay.
And that's only because when we are pulling on our regular power or whatever we have, Raven, I won't use our terms, Raven Stealer, but just a single guard pulling, we're going to have our guy that's a little bit quicker who's going to get through that hole. Like I told you, when we pull, we're pulling like a bat out of hell. We're going, we're upfield, right? So we're getting to the backer, next level, and it's got to be our fastest guy that can get through.
Okay. Now, I mean, you mentioned no tight end and two backs, and that. So you also mentioned. Actually, I'll take it this way. You mentioned Power Reed in there. When did you guys start bringing Power Reed into the equation, and how much has that helped your regular power?
Basically, as soon as so we've always been like that RPO team off of zone, right? And our thoughts were, well, why can't we do it with power? So as soon as, we put the power in, now this was before I got there. This is before I got to St. X, but I would talk to a lot of the guys from St. X when I was coaching, and they were doing the same stuff for the past 5 years. I will say our offensive coordinator, I said it on a couple other podcasts, but the smartest guy I've ever met. If you sit down with him for a day, you're gonna think that you didn't even know what football was. And so the thing with him though is he's always coming up with stuff. Like it's just and throwing it out there and let's do it, right? Let's go out there, let's do it. So I mean, as soon as we put power in, there was no other really thoughts that we weren't. Who still has a house phone? That's embarrassing. As soon as we put power in, we knew the power read was coming out of that. So and then now this year we have a little bit faster quarterbacks than we had in the past. So now we have the ability to run with our quarterback, so he'll be reading ends and going off of that as well, off of power.
Okay.
Do you read anybody other than the end? Can you read the backside 3 technique?
No. It's either the end or your Mike or Will backer, depending on whatever defense you're in. So we're either defensive end, if it's a quarterback read with the run. If we're throwing off of it, it's the quarterback read with the backer.
Okay. I don't got anything else before film, Coach, so if you got anything.
Oh yeah, I get it. Okay,
Good.
So you talked about counter, and you called it counter Trey. God love you. I'm glad you do, because all these young guys want to call it the GT counter. I'm like, that's just counter. There's a GT counter. It's all new words. No, we've been running that since the 80s, guys.
Yeah.
The one problem I've seen is people have gotten away from counter, and they've gone using the H-back. And
Right.
whether he's the first guy or the second guy, usually he's the second guy, it's because they're struggling getting that tackle to pull. How do you teach that technique?
Okay, so we've been running a lot of that this year because we've got some horses as linemen. I mean, as far as since I can remember, since 2008, I think this is the best offensive line we've had at St. X. So we've got horses. So we didn't really need the H-back. So what I've been trying to teach or convey to them is if that ends crashing hard, and it's tough. It's very tough for the kids to pick up. But once they do, and they do it over and over again, they kind of get it. That ends crashing. The guard has to basically hook block him, right? Get his butt around him and hook block him, and that tackle has to read that and then get up and around, where normally that tackle's coming underneath the guard, kicking out the end, right? Well, the tackle has to have his eyes up and peeking at the guard and sort of seeing where that end's coming, because if he sees him crash, well, he knows he's hook blocking now. Hinge block is what we call it. He's hinge blocking, and you got to get up and around up to the backer.
Is he drop stepping the tackle when he goes to pull? Is he drop stepping, or how's he getting that out of away from the line of scrimmage and into his path?
No, like it's almost the same way, right? Where he's like, put your hand on that guard's hip and let's get moving. And so, which is why for us, the hinge block, the come around block, whatever you want to call it, is a little bit tougher, right? And teaching it is certainly not simple, but it's repetition and practice. And for us, because we have no skill as offensive linemen, when they're doing 7-on-7 in practice, when they're doing whatever they're doing, we're working these techniques, right? And so high school, it's a little bit more difficult because you only got so much segmented time. Well, for the fat boys in college, we don't have anything else to do. We don't get to have fun. We just get the block. So, like, while they're doing that, we're working different, So this is something that we'll be working on every day, right? So after the Iowa drills, we'll go into our team run segment, and then we got more IIT time for us to do our stuff. And hinge blocking is one of the things, right? Just practice that end coming down, crashing, and that, or sometimes he's staying out, and the tackle's got to read him. All right. So, like I said, we were expecting these ends to play outside, right? Well, they're down basically in a 4 shape. You got your middle backer here, and your outsides on the line. So, like you asked, this is almost like the bear formation that you're going to see with a 5, almost a 5-2, because you got that safety almost sniffing the middle linebacker's butt, right? So as we go, you got the outside tackle taking out the outside backer. You got everybody else washing down. And like I said, this isn't great, but here's the hinge block I was talking about. So our left guard is coming around, and he's going to hinge block that end, 94 there. Kind of realized a little too late. Our tackle didn't get around, but our running back is just that. I mean, he's an absolute stud. But again, reads it, goes outside that pole, and now he's gone. So instead of it going up the C gap where it's supposed to, because they crushed it down, there you go. That's kind of what that hinge block looks like, if that makes sense. Do you want me to run that back?
No, you're good, Coach.
Okay.
You're good. I get it. We call it a log block. You can call it the hinge.
Yep.
So it's all kind of the same thing.
Right.
And that tackle getting bumped off, I see what you're talking about. It's he kind of gets caught up in the trash there a little bit.
So this would be like our single guard pull with our power play. We call it mallet. This actually isn't a very good play to watch, but so we got our back in motion. Kind of pull out the backers. Our guard's pulling. We're cleaning out. Now he should have handed this ball off. Because if you look on the left side, he's got a hole that I could frickin' run through. But the same thing, right? He's pulling, and so now we have our read game off of this. He throws a screen. I think he threw it in. This is a freshman playing. I think that was his 3rd snap of his entire college career. So a little bit jitters, but same thing, right? So we have all these different sort of plays, and we run a lot of smoke screen or quick screen to the outside.
Yeah.
Well, when we move down the road with these quarterbacks, they'll be reading the outside backers and coming through with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get a good one.
So obviously you guys have a good running back right now.
Yeah.
As you're pulling some of this up. But if you didn't, I mean, in young quarterbacks, so you kind of got to slow play some of your system stuff. So obviously, as you kind of mentioned, how much more advanced does your system get as you get more, especially at the quarterback position, get more experience there?
So last year we had a fifth-year starter. So he was there for 5 yards. He was, just really knew the system, really knew our offensive coordinator, and really we could just give him the ball and say, go out there and make your calls. Like, he could go out there and call the offense. He was that good. So like you see there, you got your quick screen to the outside. We're not going to trust him to start making different reads with the backers or whatever. He's reading the end or whatever he was reading on that play and get the ball out. So here's a better view of our Steeler, which would be our Raven Steeler, left, power left. So when you ask, like, what does our backside do on power? So here you've got our right guard is pulling. Our nose and our left guard are down on the nose up to the will. I think he's number 16 here. Yeah. And boom, our quarterback takes it, right? So this is our quarterback power read. Steeler is what we call it. The tackle is getting around the end. We're letting him go, so he's making the choice. Running back does a great job of blocking him. Our backside tackle is locked onto the end, and there you go, quarterback power right up the middle. Yeah. So odd, we're obviously going left. Even, we're going right. Here we're going to be going left. And you've got our guard pulling around. He saw that tackle come down with him. He comes around, boom, running back push. And again, this running back is just a savage. And so he's scoring. But same thing, right? It's a lot of our linemen, what they have to do is see what's in front of them. And that's kind of what we teach them, of always with your eyes up, looking for the next color jersey to hit. And if you go through it, but this is our quarterback last year, the kid who's been here forever. You see him go up to the line, change the play. Down, lock up. Could have been a hold on our tackle, didn't get called, an AI football. Boom, good pull, and again, same thing, touchdowns. When you run power out of the spread and you don't have that tight end or you don't have that other player, it's a beautiful thing, because a lot of teams aren't expecting it, or a lot of teams don't have the personnel in there to take care of it because they're worried about our pass, right? So when you're worried about the pass, you can run the power inside or outside, and it's awesome to watch. So so again, here's a look we got, right? Here's your nose, here's your two defensive ends that are playing way outside, and you've got your Mike Backer walked up.
I wish we would get these look at the high school level. Don't
So,
you,
like
Bartley? Like, if you ever worked for somebody who tried to put you in that look, you would have pulled your. Actually, never mind. You don't have hair.
It's we get, like I said, because we spread the ball around and because we throw so much, these are the looks we're getting, right? And it's different. So this is Tampa even. So we're going right here. So our left guard here will be pulling. Come on. All right. So again, down. This is what we really try to emphasize here, is this point of attack up to what is this walked up back, right? So he should be scraping over, which makes it an easier block for these two. But usually if this backer's in the right position of here, this guy's coming off, this guy moves over, and he cuts him off. But as you can see here, because he's there, he makes it a lot easier for them. So our guard comes around, good block, almost a log. He almost didn't know what he was doing there. He wanted to log, couldn't get around him, hinge block him, didn't get there. But again, this running back is just that good. All right, so these are our different. We have like each one set up in our different power sections. So I'll kind of just go over it quickly with you. So this is your basic average guard pull power, right? So it could either go left or right. We have them both drawn out. But here's what we're looking at, right? We're looking at this end, and this quarterback's reading them. Our guard's pulling around, going to the mic. Our play side, again, like I said, we're washing down. Everybody's washing down. That tackle's locked on. This backside tackle's locked on to the end. You're coming around, boom, you're coming up for the mic. You're reading this end. If he crashes real hard, running back's coming through. You hand off if he's not going out with him. If he does widen out real wide, quarterback's pulling and going up the alley. Receiver the block. Now on the backside here, you'll have now we don't always run lightning, right? We have a different sort of passing scheme out here. But again, it's quick here. If this Sam or money back, whatever you call him, is flowing, you got a quick pass right here. It's a quick read, easy read for the quarterback. If it's a quarterback who's been in the system and knows the system and can run the system, it's a great play to have. Against Missouri Baptist last year, I think we scored 2 or 3 times off this because they were blitzing everybody, and boom, this guy would come and we'd hit this lightning right off the backside. Single tackle pull. All right. Again, you have your read 1, read 2, and just our tackle is coming around up to the weak side backer. These two are washing down. Your guard is coming back, and your tackle is locked in on your end, and boom, giving it up. But again, you're reading this end. If he crashes, quarterback can pull, or if you're reading this safety here, if he sits back, you now have your screen on the outside. All right, so it's hard to kind of, I don't want to say explain because it's not hard to explain, but if you don't run a lot of spread into this is like, well, why wouldn't you just run the ball? But when you get a lot of different looks, like, the looks that we get, you kind of have to get creative. Your GT counter that you love so much.
I love counter.
Yes.
They got to call it GT.
Yeah, your counter tray, right? So this is our counter tray. Now we do have the inside receiver. He's coming over the top. If the safety dips, we now have a throw here. But the same thing applies, right? Pulling around. This end could crash. You could stay outside. Guard's got the end. Tackle's got the weak side backer. You're washing down. The only difference is if this end comes crashing down, quarterback can pull and run. Or if this safety sits back, now you have your cue over the middle for the RPO game, which is kind of what we incorporate with everything. But again, same thing if you flip it over to the other side.
Good coach.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Is there anything like,
No,
again?
I think you're good.
It's hard because I don't know what kind of defense you're going to see, especially in high school. It's a lot. You're gonna see a lot of clinic defense where they sit in a 4-3 or a 4-2 and don't really blitz all that much. So I can tell you, this is what we're doing, and you got to throw off this, and you have this and that. But if they don't bring a whole lot of stuff, I would just run power, right? I would just run the counter tray and run it. I mean, our number one play this year is counter tray. I think we ran it, I would say 8 to 10 times last game. And if you ask anybody in the nation for our offense coordinator to run a run play that many times is just crazy.
No, it's not. If they ain't stopping it, don't quit running it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. His contact information in terms of his Twitter will be in the bio of the video. Again, also Coach Bartley's contact information and link to his YouTube channel for his defensive podcasts will be in the bio as well. Make sure you like and subscribe and share the video. Helps people find it. Helps create conversation. We got a lot of good guests on here that came on before Coach and that will be on after Coach that are in the process of getting scheduling. And I don't know, and I'm working on a couple other side projects especially for those of you that are offensive line inclined. So we'll see how that goes. But again, this was another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast. I appreciate everybody and stay safe.